A stranger laughs at your car. You're loading groceries into a 10-year-old sedan, a scuff on the bumper you've never gotten around to fixing, and a guy walking towards something newer lets out a short laugh. Not cruel, just certain. Certain he's got you figured out. 5 years ago, that laugh would have wrecked your whole week. You'd have rolled the window down to explain the car was a choice, that you could buy his and 6 more, that he had no idea who he was looking at. You'd have carried it for days. Today, you catch your own eyes in the side mirror for half a second. You load the last bag, you drive home. By the next red light, you've already forgotten it happened. You didn't even reach for it. Something quiet happened to you on the way up, and you can't name the day it did. Nobody warns you about this part. The flex doesn't die when you get rich. It goes silent. You had to climb through every louder version of yourself just to reach the quiet one. And every one of those versions was certain he'd already arrived. The number you're worth is about to change 5 times. And somewhere in the middle of that climb, it stops being what you earn and starts being what you keep. Watch what that does to the volume. It starts in front of a mirror. You're making $29,000 a year, standing in a 1-bedroom apartment, checking whether the shoes read. They're white, the logo big enough to catch from across a parking lot, and you angle your foot to see them the way a stranger would. $220. Your car payment this month is $190. You know that. You bought them anyway. You protect them like they're alive. Wipe them down with a damp cloth before you even leave the house. Then your sister's birthday comes around. You hand her a card. She opens it, looks up, says, "You didn't have to." You both smile and let the smallness of it sit there 1 extra second before someone changes the subject. There's nothing inside the card, because the shoes ate the month. You never say that out loud, but you carry it home with you. A stone in your shoe you can't shake. That you had $100 once, and it went on your own feet instead of into her hands. And still, you don't regret the shoes. That's the part outsiders never understand. Because look at what anyone can actually see when they look at you. Not the plan, not the person you're clawing your way toward becoming. That's locked in an app nobody else gets to open. The shoes are the one sentence you get to say out loud. And it works. People look. You feel them look. And that's the exact moment being looked at stops being enough. You're making $120,000 now, standing in front of a different mirror, checking something else entirely. Not whether they'll notice you, whether you look like you belong. The sneakers are long gone. You'd be embarrassed by them now. In the driveway sits a leased German sedan, $640 a month, and you feel exactly how it sits. Lower, tighter than anything you've driven before. There's a watch on your wrist a coworker will clock and price in his head without meaning to. That half second of silent math on someone else's face, that's the entire reason you bought it. You tell yourself it's taste, growth. Then one evening you catch yourself laughing too hard at something a man said. A man you don't even like. A man whose opinion you'd have called worthless a year ago. And it lands on you. You're performing for him. You've quietly been sorting the people in your life by whether they can read what you're wearing. The ones who can't have been drifting to the edges, uninvited, unnoticed. You didn't lose them in a fight. You just stopped making room because they weren't the audience anymore. That night, for the first time, you're not sure who you're becoming. You're not sure you'd have liked this version of yourself a few years back. You traded the crowd that was too loud for a smaller, colder one and called it growing up. You're earning 4 times what you used to, and somehow you don't feel 4 times safer. The car, the watch, the zip code, they all had to grow the second the paycheck did. Quiet wouldn't have counted in that room. You tell yourself this is the top, that the people above you must be doing all of this even louder. They're not. You finally got the respect you'd been starving for. It bought you a ticket to a room you still can't walk into. You're worth $500,000 now. The first number that isn't a paycheck. This is what you kept, not what you make. And keeping it changed you before you noticed. You're in front of the mirror again, turning your wrist, watching the watch catch the light. You feel good. You earned this one. The dinner is 8 people at a long table, and you clock the room the second you sit down. Nobody's dressed up. Soft sweaters. No logos. A canvas watch strap on the man at the head of the table, who, you looked him up, is worth more than everyone else here combined. Your wrist suddenly feels loud. Nobody says anything about it. That's the part you weren't ready for. You'd braced for a comment, even a joke, something you could laugh off. Instead, there's just nothing. No one looks twice. The watch you rehearsed in the mirror an hour ago lands in the room like a word in a language nobody here speaks. You try to enter the conversation, the trip, the deal, the thing that would have impressed the last room. The man at the head of the table nods, polite, turns a few degrees toward the woman beside him, asks her something small and real, and doesn't turn back. You spend the rest of dinner talking slightly too much to the person next to you, painfully aware of your own voice. In the car after, you don't turn the radio on. You just sit there a second before starting the engine. At a red light, you take the watch off. Not really a decision, more like your hand does it on its own. You put it in the console. You don't wear it to the next one. You went quiet after that, not because you understood anything yet, but because it was the first room where loud sounded desperate, and quiet worked. The next room let you in. You just didn't know yet that getting in was the easy part. $1 million. And the thing nobody warns you about at this number is that people can tell. Not from the car, that's forgettable now. They can tell from your shoulders, from the way you don't flinch at the check, from something you can't hide, even when you try. You stopped broadcasting years ago. Didn't matter. It shows on you now without your permission. You're in front of the mirror, and for once you're not checking anything. Just looking. Just looking. And you can't quite tell what other people see when they look back. Your oldest friend asks to grab a beer. The real kind of friend. The one from before any of this. The one who knew you when the shoes ate the month. It's easy. The way it always was. For an hour, it's just the two of you, and nothing's changed. Then, near the end, he gets quiet. Turns his glass a few times, says he hates to even bring it up, but there's this opportunity, and he only needs a little to get it moving. It isn't the ask that stays with you. It's the 4 seconds before it. The glass turning, the throat clearing, where you realize he'd been building to this the whole night. Maybe the beer was always the wrapper around the ask. You'll never know for sure. That's the worst part. You give him the money, of course you do, and you lose something anyway. Something you can't name and can't get back, in the space where certainty about him used to live. Weeks later, at a small dinner with people you barely know, it ends and you're driving home, and halfway there, it lands on you. Nobody asked what you do. Nobody asked what you have. Nobody did the math all night. That's when the relief hits, and you follow it all the way up the last rung. $5 million. Plain gray t-shirt, the kind that comes 3 to a pack. Coffee going cold beside you. A Tuesday with nothing in it. People come over on the weekend. You stand around the kitchen talking about someone's kid starting school, a trip somebody just got back from, a dog that got into the trash again. Nobody says a word about money the whole afternoon. It never comes up. It's the least interesting thing in the room. You still drive the old car. Not to prove anything. You just never think about it anymore. The loud watch sits face down in a drawer somewhere, battery dead. You couldn't say the last time you wore it. Your neighbor catches you in the driveway one evening, nods at the sedan, the scuff, the years on it, and folds a little dig into a joke. When are you going to get yourself a real car? You smile, say something easy about how it still runs fine, and go inside. You didn't explain. You didn't mention the number that would have ended the conversation. 5 years ago, you'd have found a way to let it slip. You'd have needed him to know. Tonight, the thought doesn't even arrive. Not suppressed. Just gone. There's a mirror in the hallway you used to stop at every time. In the one bedroom, you turned your foot to catch the logo. In the new place, you checked whether you belonged. There was always some version of you rehearsing for a room. Tonight, you walk past it on the way to the kitchen. You don't look, and that's not avoidance. That would still be about the mirror. You're just thinking about something else, and the glass holds your reflection for a second and lets it go, and you never even know it was there. Saturday, the grocery store, the regular cart. You're standing in front of the tomatoes, taking too long, pressing gently with your thumb, the way your mother taught you. Never squeeze. You'll know the good one when you feel it. A man reaches past you for a bag, says a quiet, "Excuse me," and moves on. He doesn't look at you. You don't look at him. He has no idea what you're worth. And standing there, you realize you have no idea what he'd think if he knew, because it never occurred to you to wonder. The machine that used to run the numbers on every stranger just didn't start. You pick 2 tomatoes. You put one back. You get the better one. You put it in the cart. And here's the part nobody tells you at $29,000 a year, standing in front of that first mirror, checking whether the shoe's red. The silence is the goal, not the number. The number was only ever the ticket. The silence is the seat. Most people spend their whole lives chasing a room loud enough to notice them. The richest people you'll ever meet are standing quietly in a grocery aisle, checking tomatoes, and they wouldn't trade it back for anything.